Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Red Path. My name's Brian, and I'm here joined by Josie and Ryan. Today, on this very special episode of Competitive Insights, we will be discussing our hottest and newest takes on the World Leaders meta and what lists we plan to tackle this meta with. So, Josie, how's it going?
It's going pretty good. I'm really excited about this one. The meta's changed up a little bit recently. Some new stuff coming out, and it'd be really nice to work out how we're planning on dealing with that.
Yeah, Ryan?
It's been awesome. I actually got my first two games back under my belt, figuring out what the heck we do and how I plan to tackle that. So yeah, it's been fun and looking forward to getting more.
Yeah, and I believe both of those games are solid wins, too. I mean, like, Rust coming straight off, right? Pummeled a Demons player and a
Yeah,
Tau player, right?
demons and Tyranids. So
Demons and Tyranids, okay.
yeah,
But broadly speaking, guys, the data slate wasn't very. And I would recommend you guys go watch our data slate review video. I promise that we're going to be a little bit more positive, just a little bit more positive on this video than we were in the data slate review. Obviously, that video was mostly sarcasm, but today we're going to try to bring you guys solutions. Now, we did get kind of slapped on the wrist a little bit in the last slate. Some people, I would say, even correctly, would assume that that was unnecessary, in my opinion, and maybe a little bit heavy-handed in some areas and lacking in other areas, right? While we would like Angron to be a all-star model that just everybody fears and he brings awesome coolness to the board, he's not that, right? But that doesn't mean he's unplayable. It doesn't mean he's trash. He's just disappointing. There's a difference. Um, so today we're going to be talking about kind of how we feel in this meta, the list that we're going to be bringing to you guys, that things that we are willing to play and will be playing going forward. Ryan and I have a GT coming up. I can't speak for Josie, but I'm pretty sure you're actually really excited to get to some Goretrack here soon. Um,
Absolutely.
but just getting started right now, we have a few Predators that have joined us in the meta. It was out with the old and with the new, and I would say that they almost like swapped one for one. Previously, we would have told you that our worst matchups were Eldar and Admech. And I would have told you that Eldar was because of the uninteractiveness, the Fuegan combo, their speed, just that extra little damage that they had and how they were able to alpha us before we could alpha them. Well, the Fuegan combo pretty much got dismantled the whole way down, right? He no longer goes 40 inches and shoots you and kills five things, and uh, Phoenix Lord's not being able to use the tokens. That's a big deal. That's a huge hit to their damage, right? Acerman, Lycus, right? All of them really loved using those tokens. So while the Eldar players are trying to pick up their what they have right now, I still think that matchup's going to be a little tricky, but I definitely think it's going to still never put Eldar, like, never discount Eldar. Every time they get nerfed, we're like, yay, they finally did it. And then, nope, wasn't enough, and they're back with a different build. Maybe this time it was it, but how do you guys feel about like Eldar right now?
I
um,
think. Go on.
uh, uh, yeah, I have no idea to be honest with you. Obviously no real experience into the meta that we were just in. No experience in yet here. It sounds like it's going to be a lot better. And realistically, one of the biggest things for us that I've experienced before and after is, can your unit count match their unit count? Can you trade appropriately, or can you hit them with enough stuff where they can't hit you back? It sounds like their unit count has come down and the uninteractiveness has gone down. So sounds fine. We'll see how that actually plays out in the table.
Yep.
Yeah, I think they've been hit hard enough now that any Eldar list that is being built is leaning even harder than ever into the glass cannon aspect, which might be okay for us. It might also be potentially a big problem. I'm seeing some Windrider hosts, the Eldar jet bikes. Those things will just pick up 1,000 points of your army turn one, and if you've not got the damage nearby to pick up 1,500 points of their list in your turn one, you're in a lot of danger. And even the Aspect host lists that are coming out, they're still leaning into 25 to 30 swooping hawks who will just drop on you and do 15 mortal wounds. This is a problem for a lot of our stuff still. they can't do damage on repeat anymore, but they know that, and they will try and do as much damage as they can as quickly as they can instead,
The
which
army's
is going to
still
make it spicy.
the army's still very fast. The only part of it that's slowed down is just the Fuegan combo, which I think has led us to a few conclusions that we'll talk about as we are discussing topics in this video. Mainly that the Demon Prince and Angron, while the Demon Prince did get a little bit of an indirect hit with Helm going up 10 points, both of them were pretty big targets for Fuegan plus 10. And honestly, it was Eldar were so popular, if you wanted to win a GT, you were likely going to have to go through an Eldar player. And Angron was just straight up going to lose you a game by being in your list. Because he was giving Fuegan a nice shiny, there was a nice red dot on Angron's head where Fuegan's fire pike was pointed at. So I do think with Eldar kind of like taking a step back, at least from that combo, if it's not necessarily them taking a step back from the meta, big things can come out to play. And we're going to see a lot of lists doing the exact same thing across the board, which is why I actually think Angron has a little bit more um, skin in the game now because people can start pulling their Land Raiders back out. Somebody puts a Redeemer in the middle of the table and you're scared of getting overwatched. Dad can take an Overwatch, right? So, out with the old and with the new. Guard is going to be a terrible matchup for us. I've foreseen it. I've played into it. Bulgrins are annoying, always have been. Indirect is annoying, always has been. And Dorns that basically full convert their hit roll into mostly converting their wound roll is going to be a nightmare for us. So we need to be prepared for that matchup. List-wise, pretty much if they're bringing indirect, you got to run right at them. All aggression, my opinion. Forge Fiends don't really get you that much in that matchup. And then the other one to watch out for now is Ultramarines. They were going to be all over the place. I think between the two of them, I saw the last meta report was like 24% Space Marine players, the majority of which are playing Ultramarines, and about 17, 18% Guard players. Like
Oh, that's brutal.
that's like it's like 30, 40% of the meta is those two armies. So if you're going to a GT, you are going to play into one of those, probably one of them twice. So especially if you're planning to win, Guard is doing the funny Guard thing where they have a 40% win rate, but the most undefeateds at the end of the week. That was the report from last week, which is my funniest. It's the funniest stat report ever. Because we'd be like, it's not a problem. You know what that is? That's Jim Baneblade over there going 0 and 5. And you know what? He's going to show up to the next tournament with a smile on his face and go 0 and 5 again. And he's just going to let the Bulgrin player get off at the pass the next slate. Anyways, what are you guys fearing in the next meta?
Josie, you can take it away.
Yeah, I think guard is definitely gonna be a problem. I've heard a lot about the new Lords of Change and the flat damage 3 on Lords of Change and Kairos. I am personally of the opinion that it is overrated. I think it's overrated. I think it's less of an issue than we're worried about. But for World Eater specifically, if you're leaning into 8-bound, be afraid. That thing is absolutely brutal. We've got lots of ways of dealing with what Siege stuff can do.
Mhm.
Going forward, I'm hoping to see fewer Ultramarines purely based off the fact that Blood Angels are a contender for best list for Space Marines as well. There's a lot of Space Marine bodies coming in. I feel like we're going to go. We were in definitely much a one wound power armor meta. I think we're going into a two. Well, Marines now two,
Four
three, or
wounds.
four wound
Yeah.
power armor meta. And I think we're generally quite good at that. We've got a lot of damage, but there is a lot of damage coming back at us at the minute.
Yeah, I mean, Blood Angels, I mean, I would vastly prefer to run into Blood Angels in the wild over Ultramarines, but that does not mean Blood Angels are bad by any means.
Mm.
I think it is straight up just a 50-50 who is the better player matchup right now. They have every tool we have. They have cheaper data sheets. They have potentially better data sheets in some scenarios, but we have Khorne and we have Angron and we have a Foot Demon Prince. That's the one thing we have up on them. I guess it's not one thing, but we have a few things up on them, and that is 2 up, 4 up, 16 wound models. They don't really have that. I mean, they have a Land Raider, but that's not a problem. That's not what's making that matchup hard. And I know, Ryan, you're a little bit green to it, but is there any armies you have your eye on looking forward to in the meta?
I think that's the easy one. The easy answer is Ultramarines. Realistically, we're talking about this four wound Marine meta. There's Deathwing Knights, Space Wolf Tornadors. You've got obviously the obvious one is the Victrix Honor Guard. So realistically, like, what are the best counters to this? How do we handle that? And then Space Marines just it seems insane the amount of stuff that they can fit in their list behind the Victrix Guard.
Yeah.
So it's not just like defeating 12 to 15 to 18 Victrix. It's can you also defeat a bunch of these dreadnoughts and these tanks and
Yep.
scoring pieces. So the obvious answer is the blueberries for sure in terms of what seems to be the biggest threat. And so we'll see if we can handle that.
Yeah.
I
And
have some suspicions under the answer, guys.
yeah. Well, we are going to do our best to come up with some lists here on the Red Path that will hopefully make some of these problems less problematic. I can't promise that guard will be a favorable matchup for us, but I do think at least some of the lists we wrote have a decent shot to them, right? More traditional world leader builds that we had in the past. I think we're gonna have to change our style a little bit to match what's coming towards us. So without further ado, guys, we're gonna get right into our lists. We're gonna start right off with what I've been cooking. Starting off, we have Angron, Big Red, back in my list, right? Like I said at the beginning, he's not a broken model. He's good in context, and he's disappointing still overall. So make sure you close your mind to exactly what his role is on the table. He is going to rapid ingress or walk up the table, kill one thing, then take 1,000 points of your opponent's army to kill. If they fail to kill him, you scam, and you get to kill a second thing. If they do kill him, it took 1,000 points of their army. Good enough, right? Move on. You have 1,700 points of world leaders still. After that, we have Khorne the Betrayer with 10. I think most of us are going to have Khorne the Betrayer in our list, I hope. He is probably the best data sheet in our codex, and the 10 Berserkers plus him. And there's going to be a theme here, mainly that we need to be able to kill these big infantry bricks in one tap, right? Or we have to be able to take the hit on the chin, which is why the Foot Demon Prince is kind of leaving my list right now. I know, shocker. And he's getting replaced with Dad. And that's because Dad has 16 wounds, T11, better breakpoint, just means he's more likely to take a clap back from Victrix Guard and be able to pick up 3 to 4 of them in return, which it's actually pretty reasonable that if Angron doesn't roll ones, he has actually a reasonable shot if he has a couple sustains in there to pick up an entire squad in one go, right? You go 9 hits with sustained hits, and you translate that into 6 or 7 wounds. You have an extra AP in there. You go to AP 4. It's very reasonable. They fail 6 saves. If you don't roll a 1 for damage, the whole squad's gone. But realistically, account for killing 3 to 4. So we have Angron and Khorne. Next up, we have the Master of Executions with Berserker Glaive. He's going to be accompanied with 10 Berserkers and a Rhino. I'm doing this because I'm scared of Indirect. I'm scared of Drukhari. We didn't actually talk about that Predator in the beginning, but they're very popular. They're a very fun army. They're a very good army. They do have bigger fish that will eat them out in the meta. Like Guard loves that matchup. We still have to watch out for Drukhari. Can't get scammed by them. They are fast. I don't want to get caught in the open with Berserkers walking, so I did buy my second squad a Rhino. And then finally, we have the favorite of Khorne, Slaughterbound. I know favorite of Khorne is a staple to many of us. Nobody likes rolling Yahtzee 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 with 2 extra 1s in your blessings. So having just a little bit of redundancy in there. I think, Ryan, this is your first time coming back to new favorite of Khorne. I actually think it's almost better than the original iteration where you get to just flat reroll all 8 dice. Now you just have like that guaranteed consistency of getting blessings versus fishing for Angron. It's just you're trading one for the other. And this allows you to, if you have favorite of Khorne Slaughterbound on the table, have that modular. Do you want Angron in reserves? And because of obviously you're going to be picking your reroll 6 blessings more often than not because his other 2 abilities are incredibly niche. Having the Slaughterbound on the table with favorite of Khorne means that you will be able to put Angron up in the air, and that actually turns him into a very scary threat, right? It's just like Schrodinger's Angron. Is he behind this building? No. Is he in that building? Probably. You never know, right? And your opponent has to plan for a Demon Primarch deep striking and flying over their screen pretty much anywhere. So, with that, we'll go straight into the meat of the list. We have, like I said, 20 Berserkers, 2x10, and 2 Rhinos. We have one 10-man Jackal squad. We have 3 squads of Spawn. I mean, Spawn are ridiculous. That was the first thing Ryan said when he opened up. He was flipping through the army, and he read Spawn. And he was like, "What the hell? How could they get better?" Can't leave home without them. We have a squad of Goremongers to go with our squad of Jackals, 2 squads of Eightbound, and 1 squad of Exalted Eightbound. Now the Slaughterbound, again, it's modular. If you want it solo and do an elf matchup, it can be. He's just a great beatstick solo. If you want him attached to 3 8-bound because you're running into Necrons, you need to be able to knock 6 Wraiths on the floor in one hit. He's there too. Or if you're into Knights or Grey Knights or something the uppy downies and you just want more threats up in reserves, you can put him in reserves with 3 Exalted and with Angron in reserves to really like annoy a Grey Knight player. So overall, this list is very aggressive. It is probably the most aggressive way that you could build the army at the moment with 5 scouting pieces, uh, 5 different but the same pieces all have access to advance and charge. So you're able to get across the table fast. You have a rapid ingress Demon Primarch. You're set up on turn 2 to be incredibly explosive. Or if you push your 2 Rhinos up and you have the 3 squads of spawn in front of them clearing the way, your two Rhinos can push up. You rapid ingress Angron, and you're just lights outing an opponent on turn 2, right? But I still subscribe to the passive aggressive playstyle. You don't have to. You can just threaten the ability to do that, and you don't have to, right? And there's a few of attributes of this list that I talked about that were, I said, pertinent to the meta. Again, Angron can take a hit from Vitrix Guard, assuming he's not oathed. His -1 damage will basically mean he takes no damage. Into Drukhari, he just basically gets a free game as long as you kind of dodge, duck, and weave around the Scourges. And into Guard, their indirect does nothing to him. Dorns are super swingy into him, and usually you can get him. He can live through a Dorn. 2, maybe not. 1, pretty good chance to live through. So if he runs up and kills one Dorn and they only have another Dorn, the odds they get him, it's going to take their whole army to do it, right? He does have a decent enough profile for Bulgrin. He's not going to kill all 6 Bulgrin, but he's going to kill enough to help another squad get there too, right? And then also take advantage of their poor leadership with the no fallback aura, right? He's pretty decent into Guard. I wouldn't say that he's great into them, but he's decent. He's better than more 8-bound dying to indirect. That's for sure. Um, like I said, then we also have the 20 Berserkers in boxes. Again, indirect, big problem. Drukhari, big problem. You can run a 20-man in this meta. The 20-man is very good into Victrix. Actually extremely good into them. They will actually lights out an entire Victrix squad in one go with dev wound sustained hits. But factoring in the chickens and the guard indirect and the Drukhari that are likely to be run into, I don't feel comfortable running a 20-man. I would rather run Moglaive, Khorne, 10, both in their Rhinos. They will still take a decent chunk out of Victrix, if not outright kill the smaller Victrix squads. Calgar, we're going to have to get around to that. But all in all, that's my list, guys. Thoughts?
I played this list. This was the first game that I played back. I played this exact list, played it into Demons. Uh, if you aren't in the Red Path Discord, you won't know that I got incredibly lucky in that Angron picked up the 5 Endless Gift Guo in one shot, and then Slaughterbound and 3 Exalted picked up Rodigus right beside him in the same turn. Um, and I had the modifier aura up from Angron, and so then but nearby Nurglings did nothing. So,
Niche.
so it
It's
was
niche.
it was there. It was there. It did a thing. Yeah, and one that was a pretty big swingy turn. I think the likelihood that that happens is 3.8%. So please do not expect that to happen in every single one of your games. You just walk up and kill both those things. But realistically, it was a lot of tools. It was a lot of fun. Um, yeah, I didn't have any shooting and definitely missed it. It was a more open GW board, but at the same time, I only had to face one Lord of Change, so it wasn't like I was getting outshot. So in that matchup, I think the list did what it said on the tin, except I played it maybe more aggressively than Brandon normally does. Dark Lord Brandon here. Um, so um, it was definitely more of an all-in play for my second turn, and the fact that the list can let you do that or play passively is pretty cool.
Yep. And that's the nice part of having, like, in my opinion, the 3 squads of spawn and the 2 squads of 8-bound and the Goremongers is if you just want to sit there and just like throw pocket sand at your opponent, you can. In the Ultramarine matchup, if you take their scouts and JPI away from them, they have to play the game with real units eventually, and you have Karn sitting there with the steel chair ready to hit the first squad he sees.
Yeah, no, I think
Hey,
it's really cool. It's a massive toolbox, isn't it? I mean, it's what Berserker Warband does. You want to have a big toolbox of big threatening things, and what Berserker Warband does best is have big threats that are relatively cheap.
yep,
Like spawn costs you nothing to fling out. Even an 8-bound squad, it's 130 points. It's nothing. Just send it out.
yeah. Go kill that beast in Nurgle. It's fine. Like that's the other thing too is like we have to take a trip back to the RB2K style of play, where early game overcommitting to pave the way for your Haymakers is very important, right? Uh, Spawn don't kill a Beast of Nurgle. Goremongers don't kill a Beast of Nurgle. Your only answer is 8-pound. Don't be afraid. Go out and kill that Beast of Nurgle with your 8-pound. Who cares if you're down 70 points in trading? Because on the next turn, you're going to take your entire opponent's army and throw it on the floor. And it's going to be fine. And that 70 points of trading, think of it more like an investment. So, with that, I know Angron is going to be a little touchy with some of you guys. A lot of us have love-hate relationships with him. Actually, mostly it's hate-hate relationships. Um, we did want to come up with an alternative for that. So Ryan will go ahead and lead into your list.
Okay, so it's similar, obviously, it's still Berserker Warband. This is something that I was working with for GW still because that's my next event. So I kind of wanted to see what no Angron would look like on a GW open layout. So I actually started with that Demon Prince. I did want to play with some CP economy, still have Lone Up, especially on those open boards where instead of being able to hide behind a wall, you can just put spawn behind a wall nearby, not be on the objective, and then the Demon Prince can kind of stand there and at least hopefully hold a point for you.
Infantry, not beast. Infantry gives him a lot.
Oh,
But
there you
yes,
go.
yes. Yeah, look, he's a little green, guys. He's a little green.
Jackals, Goremongers, whatever,
Yep,
eight
yep, yep.
bound, all the same stuff. Um, we've got Khorne because of course there's a Slaughterbound in there. Um, there's only 10 Berserkers, so I only have one unit of 10 Berserkers and one box to put them in. There's 3 units of spawn because I would argue that maybe they're the best data sheet in the codex. That's like an insane toolbox for 90 points. There's 2 units of 8-bound and 2 units of Exalted. Um, this lets me hit vehicles reasonably hard, gives me 2 rapid ingress threats. I can obviously staple one of these, the Slaughterbound, to one of the Exalted. And then there's 2 Forge Fiends, because on some of these maps, like I'm looking at layout 6 particular, is just does the terrain's not real. Like it doesn't exist. It's almost pointless. Like there's one staging point on layout 6 in tipping point, and everything else doesn't matter. So giving me some shooting, letting me remove some of those tools, certainly useful. Like we talked about, it's not the best into something like a Vitrix or maybe some of the other 4-wound ones, but it at least keeps them honest. They don't want to lose models for free. So kind of useful there. Goremongers, I really, really like, especially at 75 points in both my games so far. This is actually the list that I ran for the second game. And Goremongers are so good. Like for 75 points, it's a boatload of attacks at a strength 5 lance, and then with sustained and some AP, you're cooking with gas. So,
Yeah.
and then 1 unit of Jackals to hold the back line, do their thing. This list does have a little bit of flexibility. If you do want to take Forge Fiends and Angron, you can just remove the Prince, remove 1 unit of Exalted, and that's your Angron points. I also am playing 35 points down here because I didn't say any of the enhancements. So you could put Glaive on the Slaughterbound, you could put Helm on the Prince, you could put Favorite on the Prince, and Lust on the Slaughterbound. You can kind of do what you want with pretty much any enhancements, as long as it's within the points level. So it gives you some play and some options into what you guys want to see. Um, I didn't love like I only wanted one Berserker unit in this one. I know that that's not the favorite way to play right now. More people love their Berserkers in boxes or even the 20 mans. Um, I am much more high on the 8-bound even still. They're really cheap for the damage output that they have. Um, and they don't make me spend CP to do the fun things. Whereas Berserkers, you need to spend the 1 CP to advance a charge or the 1 CP to auto Blood Surge 8. And so while those tools are incredible, I like, having one squad be able to do that and then have my 8-bounder Exalted kind of smash and do good stuffs.
And I mean, the list is very reminiscent of the old, we used to call it the Noah's Ark list, which was it was like Prince, 2 Forge Fiends, 2 Jackals, 1 Berserker, 2 Spawn, 2 8-bound, 2 Exalted 8-bound, 2 Slaughterbound, I think used to be a list. So it's very reminiscent of that, which was a successful list. That was a good list. So sticking to that shell, which obviously had to be rewritten just a little bit, because that was 2 data slates ago. Uh, it's a solid list. Prince, he's in my heart forever. Forge Fiends, they're not bad guys. They aren't. They didn't suddenly get bad. They just don't kill Victrix. And I'm sweaty and I need to figure out how to kill Victrix. So,
Um, Yeah, like I said, this list you can swap out the Prince and one unit of Exalted. I have two in there for Dad, and it's still a perfect fit. So you can do whatever you need to do, still run your Forge Fiends and run Dad, and it's still a impressive amount of units. I think it's still 13 units, so
Yeah, I think it's a good
there you
list.
go.
Yeah, it's fierce. Absolutely.
Yeah. And
Josie
I
thinks it needs more jackals.
and you know,
You're not wrong, but shush. You don't know me.
how many victors does 20 jackals kill Josie?
With sustained dev, I think probably most of a unit. They'll bring it down fairly reliably.
That scares
Love
me.
it. That's so
But
good.
I mean, terrain layouts, obviously Ryan just showed a very good reason why lists are differing. The GT that we're planning on going to initially was posted with quite dense terrain, which is why like that mono melee build was like very appealing. And then they just randomly transitioned it to playing at bowling ball. Just like, hey, new
I'm
packet
so
dropped,
mad about
everybody.
it.
Don't worry, we're gonna play on tipping 2. Oh, my Rose Crucible 2. And it's just
It's
like
yeah, it's Crucible 2 and then Tipping 6. And I'm just like,
tipping
what
6 is
is
tipping 6 is
no,
more
it's
fine than you'd
not.
think. You don't die in your deployment zone on tipping 6. Crucible 2, you do.
I
Crucible 2,
don't
you die in your deployment zone. Anyways, good reason. Forge Fiends on GW terrain are actually very viable because they do, like you said, or like Ryan said, keep your opponent honest. Because the last thing you need is your opponent disrespecting you on an open layout, right? That's just the worst feeling ever. But moving on to Josie with a unique one here.
Yeah, we're taking over to Goretrack. And I think the funny thing about this list is you can almost, that's in 19, 20 points this list, you could put it in Berserker Warband, and it would be a completely valid looking Berserker Warband list. But it does play the game completely differently. It offers some very different tools compared to what Berserker Warband does, and it's great fun for that. But what we've got Khorne, the man, the myth, the legend. I can't see a list that he shouldn't be in, certainly for any reasonable competitive detachment. He's insane. He always will be, and he doesn't go up to strength 9 like he does in Berserker Warband, but he will get Lance almost every time, and strength 7 with Lance is actually often better. He can punch up into bigger things than Berserker Warband can and have a great time doing it. We've also got two Mo's in this list. One has Infernal Infusion, which gives his unit once a battle fight first, which is huge. Berserker Warband would love to have fight first. It's
Yeah, the
an
only fight
incredible
first in the
enhancement.
book.
It's massive. And then our other Mo, what we have taken to call in the Pocket Mo, he's a lovely guy. He has aggressive deployment. And what he does is he gives the transport that he is in Scout 9, which is amazing. It only works in dedicated transport, so it has to be in a Rhino. But a Rhino with Scout 9 is, if your opponent doesn't block it, it moves 9 inches before the battle. It then moves 12 inches. You can then spend a CP to disembark 3 inches and still charge, and you have moved your Rhino 24 inches turn 1. You guys that get out then get +1 to charge. You can have charge rerolls for free because of your blessings if you want it. You can project enormous threat. It's honestly insane.
It's
If you don't want
index.
to,
It's index warriors.
It
if you don't want
is.
to move the Rhino up, you can just spend a CP to disembark 6 and then move 7. You go 23 inches instead of 24. But your Rhino isn't committed. So, have fun with that. Or you could just get out 3 and only move 21 inches turn 1 and still charge with +1 move. It's a lot of threat. And that's why we have this Mo that doesn't actually have 10 Berserkers to lead, because he will go in either Rhino, whichever Rhino you feel like is more necessary at the time. And puts your opponent on the back foot. It makes them spend infiltrators to block you, which is something that we're used to as World Eater players, but actually a lot of the time our opponents have stopped bothering to do it because the turn 1 charge threat in Berserker Warband has gone away to a fairly significant degree. And
Sad
we've
Ryan.
forgotten how much fun it is to have our opponents waste their infiltrators just to stop maybe getting turn 1 charged.
I'm so
Gives you a
sad.
trade. We've also got a Slaughterbound in this list. In this list, he has Murderous Onslaught, which I still think is the better version. You can afford Unleash Hell. Murderous Onslaught, which is the one that I would prefer. His unit, the turn that you disembark from a transport, cannot be overwatched. Now, we spoke earlier on in this video even. we'll start seeing Land Raiders against us. We're going to start seeing Overwatch threats from big vehicles. If your Slaughterbound and 3 Exalted can safely run up to a Land Raider Redeemer and flip that thing over, that's 5 points for an enhancement that has been very well spent.
A 5 point enhancement is just kind of like, I guess.
Free.
I
It's
think
free.
Murderous Onslaught's it's kind of a meme. I actually think it's kind of a meme.
It can be, but it's nice to have sometimes. It's nice to run up to stuff and say, no, you can't Overwatch me. It's fun.
Oh, not Murderous
Um,
Onslaught. Sorry. Sorry. That's not a meme. The suppression
The
one. Sorry, the suppression
oh,
one.
Unleash Hell. Yes. Okay,
Unleash
yeah.
Hell. That one's a meme. The other three enhancements are, I think, if you're playing Goretrack, it is strictly for the Scout 9 and the Fights First mode. That is like such a good reason to be playing that detachment.
Yeah. The other two
Stop
enhancements you
being
can
mean.
sort of flip between as you need. This list is 1995. Unleash Hell is only a 10-point enhancement, so it's only 5 points more. You can afford either. If you decide that you prefer the suppression enhancement, it's not much of a loss, but you'll find yourself getting Overwatch to death and really wishing you had paid for that enhancement at
Yeah,
some point.
that's one of those
Stop
like
hating on Dara. Dara
That's,
loves on the shell.
he
he
does, but I mean
does.
that's like one of back when Ryan and I used to talk of people were against favorite of Khorne in the past, and we were like, fine, you're not going to need it 9 out of 10 games, but that one game you're going to roll Yahtzee and you're going to be like, I wish I had favorite of Khorne, and you're going to go 4-1 into GT because of it. So, you may go an entire event without getting Overwatched at all, and you may go to an event where it's Thousand Suns and they're going to Overwatch you every turn they can, right? So,
Exactly.
absolutely.
But yeah, those are your 4 characters for this. You've got 2 characters that will be leading 10 Berserkers each, Khorne and a Fight First Mo. That's just 2 incredible chances to lead units. We've then got 3 8-bound and 3 Exalted 8-bound. Your Slaughterbound can lead either of them. He can lead neither of them. He doesn't have to be leading a unit for the no Overwatch to work. If you want to just run a single Slaughterbound at somebody, safe in the knowledge that he's not going to get flamed to death, do it. Why not? Have fun with it. We then have 8 Goremongers. Goremongers in Goretrack are way less good than Berserker Warband Goremongers, but they are still themselves Lance built in, even if they're only strength 3. And what they do in this list is they win the Infiltrator game. If you win that roll off at the start of the game, you are guaranteed a safe journey for your Scout 9 Rhino, and that's incredible. And if you lose the Infiltrate roll off, what it makes your opponent do is immediately put Infiltrators in front of your army that most of the time they won't be able to get away from, and you don't need to hit the deployment zone turn 1. You just hit the guys in the midboard instead. Problem solved. This list has, and not just because it's me, it has 3 sets of 10 Jackals. We were playing around with,
I like how you had to preface that, but
not just
continue.
because it's fake. We were playing around with Goretrack for a while, and we found that it was running out of assets quite early because it's only got a few transports. And once you've committed the stuff in those transports, the transports themselves kind of become a bit redundant, which is very sad for Goretrack. What 3 Jackals do, if you don't have an opponent who has indirect, if you don't have an opponent who has ways to move 30 inches and take out stuff that is hiding in your deployment zone, do not start Berserkers in your Rhinos. Start Berserkers nearby, safely hidden, and put 2x10 Jackals in your Rhinos turn 1. And they will still, with Lance, with all the things that, with the speed that Goretrack can give you, they will clear out screens. They will clear out that first wave that your opponent likes to send at you. And you will feel a lot better for having committed 65 points of Jackals than you will have for committing 280 points of Berserkers to accomplish the same goal.
Yep.
They're in a massive first wave, and what it means is that your second wave then is a huge threat, which is something that Goretrack was missing out on before. The little Jackal wave has been fantastic for buffing the thing, and it also means that because you're Jackals, they've got icons of Khorne, which means on your go turn when your Berserkers are needed, you'll get a couple of extra blood dice, and it's way more likely that you'll have what you need for the Berserkers to do the thing. We don't have favourite of Khorne in this attachment, so we need to get more blood dice. So after our 3x10 Jacks, we've still got 1 unit of Spawn, because Spawn are incredible. If you have the points for them, put them in the list. We have then our Armoured Core. We have 1 Land Raider, because a Land Raider is amazing in Goretrack. You have that reactive move that it happens after your opponent shoots at you, and the number of opponents in the game now that can one-shot a Land Raider in shooting is extremely low. Massively low. And what it means in practice is that your opponent will look at shooting you, you will say, Do you want to shoot that? It can move behind a wall, or it can move 6 inches towards you while it's full of angry guys. And they will say, oh no, I don't actually want to shoot that, do I? And your Land Raider will not get shot for an entire game. It will sit safely on an objective or behind a wall, and it just won't get bothered. And it's a huge base to sort of lock down a whole quarter of the board.
Yeah.
8 bound out of that, they're moving 13 inches with +1 to charge. It's a real threat range. And if your opponent shoots you, you've now moved 19 inches instead of 13 in the course of a turn, and you're striking into anything at that point. There, it's fantastic. We have two Hellbrutes. Hellbrutes are good in Goretrack. You can pay a CP to walk them through walls, which more importantly means you can rapid ingress them safely behind a wall and be able to walk through it. As soon as you can guarantee the Hellbrute's not getting shot somewhere on its way in, it becomes a massive threat that your opponent has to play around. And Goretrack is very good at locking down areas of the board, which means that the areas your Hellbrutes can actually jump into grow. I think they're fantastic in Goretrack. They don't get many buffs themselves, but just being able to walk through walls and to threaten the reactive move as well is it's a huge thing.
And I mean,
And we've got two rhinos because you need rhinos. I think 3 of the detachments in Goretrack are entirely tied to rhinos. They are arguably the better strats in the book. It's just a shame that they are tied to rhinos, and rhinos are a little bit squishier, but they are still significantly less squishy than 8-bound or berserkers. You want them in the metal boxes. What this list does for me is it lets you play into guard, because everything you care about is safely inside a transport or off the board entirely. So guard indirect doesn't matter. Bulgrin, your berserkers are just as good into Bulgrin as they would be in Berserker Warband. They will hit just as hard, do just as much damage. You can do a lot of damage to Bulgrin with jackals if they've got lance. Victrix is the other one for me. This is a very, very good list into Victrix, because the problem that regular World Eaters have with a good Victrix player is that as soon as you come close, they react to move away. So if you get within 9 inches, they will be 6 inches further back than you want them to be. Often, they'll be able to react to move directly into a Land Raider or another transport. That means you will never actually get to punch them. They will then come out and punch you, and it doesn't matter how hard you can hit them if you never actually get to hit them. What you can do in Goretrack is either, if they don't look like they're going to get into a transport, you can run directly up to their faces with a transport. Great. Or you sit at 9. Get yourself to 9 inches away. Disembark 3. Disembarking does not trigger the reactive move. You are now 6 inches away. With a +1 to your charge, you are now looking at 5-inch charges, when most of the time in Berserker Warband you are never going to get better than a 9-inch charge into a good Victrix player. Now, when you hit them, you will hit less hard. Chances are a lot of the stuff in this list will not one-shot a Victrix brick, but it'll kill 4 or 5, and a lot of the time, you'll then be able to pay a CP and get back into your transport with everything that survives. Because that get back into a transport strat does not care if you are locked in combat with Victrix on a guard. It lifts you right out anyway. So it gives us some really good ways of playing into the biggest meta threats. I think it is potentially worse at playing into a wider field. A lot of the time, there's lots of stuff that just doesn't care about guys in transports. But the specific scary stuff right now, I think Goretrack plays into better than Berserker Warband.
Awesome.
I know Ryan was definitely perked up and
Sold.
happy. His soul, as soon as he said he could turn one, move 24 inches with Berserkers, he was like, "I'm in." He's like, "That's
The
it, you
thing
got me."
the thing is, it's so funny that that's like 100% that is intriguing for me. One of the coolest things, and Josie and I were actually talking about this behind the scenes before this video, is the tech with that little lone one-man Mo. And I don't think enough people respect the one-man Mo. He's just not leading anyone. He's 100% going to die. He's 100% going to do some nonsense. But you could theoretically throw him at a character unit, snipe out the character, and then who cares if he dies and doesn't kill the rest of the unit?
Gain your
You also
CP
get
and cackle. Yeah.
you gain your CP, you cackle, and you know what Victrix doesn't have if they're not being led? -1 to wound. Like, um, so
What a
all of a
terrible
sudden,
like I played a game with Dark Angels where I had Azrael leading Inner Circle companions, and they sent like an Eversor after it and killed him turn 1, and I was just like so disappointed. I was just like looking down, like that was the first play of the game. I was
yeah.
just so
So like
sad.
and if your Mo can move in the Scout Rhino, like what is it, 24 inches or whatever number, whatever weird combination of numbers Josie was throwing at us, if he
He is
can
fast.
yeet, if he can go fast as fuck, then all of a sudden you can surprise your opponent with like, oh, I did not expect him to run at Vitrix with this one dude, or Deathwing Knights, or my Azrael unit, or whoever, right? Like I can't guarantee that he's going to kill the guy, but little Mo with Lance, all of a sudden goes hard.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I,
absolutely.
and you know what? Especially after the last season of me chasing ITC and me wanting to try out some new things, Goretrack, Demonkin, definitely back on the menu. I know we've been talking for a little bit here, guys. We're trying to offer the best solutions we can for this meta. I think world leaders are in an okay spot. I'd say we're like above average. Definitely not dire. Definitely not great. We're definitely treading water right now, while a few other armies are sinking because they just cannot answer Victrix and they cannot answer guard in efficient manners. So, if you have any more questions, inquiries, your own terrain layouts, right? I mean, Ryan was talking about how he was brewing a list for a GW layout. He actually has some thoughts for WTC as well, because that's his hometown up there. So if you have any more questions about UKTC, GW, how we can adapt these strategies and these thought processes to your own local layouts, feel free to hit us up in the Discord, right? You can support us online or through our Patreon. That's where you're going to get the primary brunt of the communication with us. We offer monthly workshops now, both competitive and hobby. Um, Last time we did problem solving, how to get around fights first, fight on death, react moves, pretty much everything that Ultramarines have access to. I guess they don't have fights first. They could if they wanted to, but the react move and fight on death is definitely a problem. We have to get around with them. So closing thoughts, guys. How are we feeling?
I am feeling fairly positive. I think we definitely took an amount of nerf. We definitely got worse, but I think we've gone from having two big threats at the top in Eldar and in AdMech, and I think they've both fallen away enough that they cease to be a red matchup. They've been replaced with Guard, which is definitely a red matchup a lot of the time for us. But I think almost everything else, and Guard with the right sort of list sometimes, but it's still playable. I think we've gone from having games we just cannot win on paper to games that I think we can take almost anything right now, and that's a good place to be. If you are a skilled world eater player, if you get your practice in, if you get a list that you are happy with, you can beat anyone in the world.
Yeah.
Yep. Yeah, no, I'm super happy, obviously happy to be back, happy to be starting getting games in. I didn't get nerfed. I didn't play any games before this slate, so I don't know what y'all are talking
That was your
about.
first exposure back.
Um, Yeah, and I ran Angron in both my games, and the -1 hit aura was big in both of them because it was Maliceptor nonsense, Nurgling nonsense. I used the reroll blessing dice first turn on both games to get what I wanted. I was like, I don't know what you all are whining about, but these abilities are peak. Like,
Oh, sure. Be quiet, you. Be quiet.
um, no, he was so fun. Yeah, honestly, the game is awesome. We're good. That we have a good toolbox. I would love more internal balance. Like Josie was saying, the best Goretrack list she can write probably also kicks ass in Warband. So I wish that the lists were a little more varied. But realistically, there's tools to be played with. I think you just need to have an open mind. Obviously, like in the Discord, reach out to Josie. She kicks ass. She's got all the handle on the weird sauce. And we've got some good people in there for Khorne Demonkin. So yeah, realistically, just play what's fun, and there are tools in the toolbox if you open your eyes a little bit and want to dig deep.
Yeah. Said, feel free to reach out, guys. Check us out on Patreon. We have dice, we have objective markers, we have clothing merch coming out soon. I actually just got the package knocked on my door. That if you heard my dog, he was screaming at the mailman. So with that, just say thanks for tuning in and stay healthy, stay safe, and kill, maim, burn.